People who are ghosting other people. Have you ever been called out? If so, how did that make you feel? This happened recently. I had a friend I had known for 25 plus years. We wound up at the same company and realized we lived very close. She was all into office gossip and talked trash about people I liked. I asked her to stop. Any obstacle I was facing was dismissed because she had been through worse. When I needed to talk to someone about personal struggles I was having, she would talk over me and change the subject to her issues. This went on for a few years. I would hang up after talking to her and question why I bothered. Finally, I had enough. I ghosted her, and after a few months, she reached out to me via text. I replied and told her why. I was not cruel, just honest. Now I am mean and hurtful. I blocked her and am not regretting this at all. I think about her and hope all is well. I just needed to sever the ties. Not sure. I'm ghosting my emotions right now. Ask again later. When things aren't going well in my life, I turn inward and isolate myself. I'm not good at receiving support and therefore I avoid people when I'm not doing well. It makes me ghost the people I care about and then suddenly contact them again, and the cycle continues. I've been called out on it and I'm honest. I'm sure it's hurtful and it makes me feel awful, but I don't know how to be anything but the happy supportive friend that you'll get close to, and I'll disappear when I can't be that. I've been ghosting this girl I liked and she hasn't noticed because I'm the one who always starts the conversation. I now know that I'm not technically ghosting her. Please stop commenting that. My biological brother was ghosted by the woman his father was dating, who fathered 3 kids with her. I was adopted and so didn't meet my brother until our 30s when I heard this. Apparently our dad was awful, so it's good I was adopted out, but my brother lived through the worst of it. My brother was 14, living with his dad, the girlfriend and the 3 young boys they had together when his dad was killed in a drunk driving accident. He was the drunk. My brother came home from school one day shortly after and she had packed up the whole house and just left without telling him. He guesses because he wasn't her responsibility. At 14 he came back to an empty house. He had to call his grandparents 3 hours away to come get him. Horrible. He built a good life for himself since, but can you even imagine what that must be like? 90% of people who ghost have an entirely different version of events. I was recently ghosted by a guy I'd been seeing. He actually reached out and apologized after a while, so that was nice of him. But it doesn't take away how much it hurt. My way of thinking is if someone ghosts you, let the dead rest. No point in chasing after someone who doesn't want to be chased. An old ex from college got in touch with me via FB, which was lovely and a tiny bit concerning. Had a great time catching up, getting in touch with old friends from college via this exchange. Seriously, this was the best part of that, etc. His life turned out pretty much as I expected. Numerous divorces, presumably some infidelity on his part, etc. Several months into our very polite chats, he suddenly shifts gears hard. He's spouting birther nonsense, trying to get me to leave my husband for him. Literally haven't seen this ex in 20 plus years, and no way in hell is that going to happen. I blocked him on social media and didn't think twice about it afterwards. About 6 months later, our mutual college friends started haranguing me about why I'd ghosted the ex while he was deployed in Afghanistan. How dare I ghost a veteran who needed our support, etc. And how hurt my ex was that I'd cut off our friendship. Oh boy, here's the thing. I kept a screenshot of his crap to show my husband, and each time one of my college friends started in with that nonsense, I sent them the screen cap. One of the guys was so pissed, he told my ex that if he didn't stop backstabbing, they'd send it to his current wife. Haven't heard anything since. Going on 8 years now. I don't expect to. Okay, I wouldn't call it ghosting, but I sometimes don't like talking to my mom. We have a very strained relationship and sometimes it's better for my own mental health to just not engage. Anyway, one time I was legitimately at the gym with my trainer and didn't answer. She left a voicemail that said, "You always have your phone on and answer when BF calls or texts. Why do you hate me so much? I am a 32-year-old mother of 3, raising my kids and my boyfriend's son. I'm busy. I'm tired. I just want to be left alone." I'm currently ghosting this girl that has been manipulating me for months. I was attached to her so much that she could just withhold affection until I did what she wanted. And she had me convinced that the reason she was so stingy with her love was because I was doing something wrong or I just wasn't good enough. I met someone else and I've been giving the first girl the cold shoulder ever since. She FaceTimed me the other night. Wasted. Crying that I don't love her as much as I used to. I corrected her. That's not true. I actually don't love you anymore at all. She texts and snaps me regularly trying to apologize. I think she means it. But I have no intention of responding and risking letting her back into my life. Rather not have her in my life as a constant reminder of all the suffering I went through because of her abuse. Oh hey, I can answer this. This happened 9 years ago. When I was a teenager, I had started dating a guy who I really liked. He did not like my best friend and would often make fun of her. I felt like my friendship with her was coming to an end anyway because we were drifting apart. So I didn't stop him. His toxic behavior actually made me start resenting her. Eventually, I just ghosted her, left her on read, never hung out with her anymore. We didn't go to the same school, so I just never saw her. She sent me a long message asking why was I not talking to her? Did she make me mad? Did she do something wrong? It was a really heartbreaking message. And I pretty much told her that I felt like we weren't close anymore. That I was in a good relationship and I didn't feel like we were friends anymore. She responded by basically saying she understood with a sad face. I didn't talk to her for almost a year. I'm not sure what the push was. I was still dating the guy, but I missed her and I texted her a very long message apologizing and groveling. That I was wrong and stupid. Not sure what came over me, etc. She forgave me. I don't know why. I pulled a really itty move and I know I did it when she was at a low point. I'm so extremely grateful that she decided to give me another chance. We're still best friends to this day, but her confronting me when I initially ghosted her was absolutely miserable and heartbreaking. I still feel like such a piece of it for it. 2 years ago I met a woman online. After dating her for 2 weeks, my father passed away. I told her upfront that I am not in a good place emotionally. Wasn't comfortable sharing my grieving process with someone I had just met, and that I couldn't promise I would still be open to dating anyone in the near future. She called me out for ghosting her a month later. The real ghosters are ghosting this thread. The question. People who are ghosting people. The replies. Let me tell you about this time I got ghosted. It made me feel like it, to be honest. That's not who I am, but at the time I was going through a rough patch in a relationship and my home life wasn't great either. Being alone felt like the only option at one point until a good friend I ghosted expressed his concerns. I ghosted a friend once because the relationship was getting too toxic and I wasn't mature enough at the time to have an adult conversation. But we still went to the same university and had the same major. It was like a game to me that semester of going to my classes in the most circuitous ways and doing everything I could to avoid her. Then one day, I randomly ran into her on next to the escalators going down a building, and we just looked at each other for a second. She started to say, "He," and before she could even get the word out I just sprinted down the stairs. Except they were escalators and I forgot and I tripped. Twisted my ankle to the point where I tore some tendons and ligaments. Couldn't walk on my foot at all, and needed to be half carried to the doctor, and because it was after hours, literally no one was there except my ex-friend. I was basically stuck with her for hours because she took me to the ER and stayed with me. Stuck with the person I had ghosted for almost 2 semesters and literally ran away from instead of have a 2-minute conversation. Anyway, we're happily married now for 7 years, so I'm glad I ran into her. I only ghosted him after he asked me out and I declined and he became hostile. Then he started throwing more tantrums and eventually went to my friends and asked them to stop being friends with me, so yes, I was wrong for not blocking him immediately. I had a guy ghost me 2 years ago. We had been dating 3 months. Saw each 3-4 times a week. Met friends etc. He just dropped off the face of the earth and I was too stubborn to chase him. So I dropped it and moved on. 5 months later he hits me up with, "My sister still talks about you and how you're the best girlfriend I ever had." Tee. I'm petty, so I told him I hope he never gets another girl like me because you're a ducking coward and a loser. Felt good. Duck him. To be honest, it made me feel like I made the right decision. I told him that I was upset and didn't want to talk for a while because he wouldn't respect my boundaries and then tried to convince me otherwise by disregarding my wishes yet again. Don't really regret that at all. I've ghosted, but usually don't get called out. I used to be honest, but having more than one dude call me names for not thinking they were a good match killed that habit. Worst was a dude I'd gone on a couple dates with. He was nice enough, just a little too odd and clingy. Insisted on picking me up. I refused and met him instead. Insisted on driving me to the theater between dinner and the movie. I refused again. Then acted weird in the theater, yelling at people if they so much as coughed. After the movie, he was bold enough to go for a kiss. I did the cheek turn thing, then left. In the 20 minutes it took me to get home, there were over a dozen texts, each one more frantic than the last because I hadn't replied yet. I immediately noped out and ghosted. For weeks I got messages before he told me he thought I was better than this. But then I'd get the odd text like he was testing the water. The weirdest was Shamrock Shake. Want one? Lexi? I'm very glad he didn't have my home address. I'm a ghoster. I feel terrible about it. I mean to write. And mean to write. Then time has passed so I have to write something really good. Then more time passes but it is around my birthday or a holiday so looks weird if I reach out then. So I communicate daily with you in my head. Many apologies and conversations. My anxiety just gets overwhelming. If you contact me I will usually respond to the branch gladly. I ghosted someone I cared deeply for many years ago. I was never called out on it. But I deeply regret that I hurt someone that meant a lot to me. I take full responsibility for my actions. I think ego defense mechanisms play a part in situations where you don't have a real good reason for what you did. You just build a wall and start running. But it eventually catches up with you. Yeah, I didn't really care. I kept ghosting them. People who don't understand what ghosting is. Cutting communication with someone who turned out to be weird, creepy, abusive, who you didn't even really have a relationship with to begin with isn't ghosting. Ghosting is dating someone or being friends with someone for an extended period then just disappearing. You're stopping communication with someone you met on Tinder a week ago because they said something weird isn't ghosting. I don't date much, but I took a chance and went on a walk with a woman I met on Bumble. It didn't spark anything for me, so I took the evening to think about it and texted her in the morning to say I had a nice time but didn't find what I was looking for, and good luck to her. For the next 2 days I was inundated with well there goes another one and I get it but this keeps happening to me and poof there he goes. Just gone. This was after one walk, and the texts kept up for multiple days. I never sent another message after one. I was pretty surprised with how entitled she was acting. I have never and will never ghost anyone, but I get why people do it. Some people just can't act like adults if their life depends on it. I started ignoring a friend's texts after she made me feel really uncomfortable about some derogatory comments made regarding mental health. I've always struggled. Anyway, after a couple months she bluntly called me out and asked what had happened because she could feel a difference. I took that as an opportunity to explain to her how my feelings had been hurt and I wasn't at a place to confront her about it because it was still pretty raw for me. She was surprisingly receptive and apologized for her insensitivity. We never really moved past it but I really appreciated her directness and desire to understand and I know she appreciated my honesty. I ghosted a guy I had been dating for a few months when I was in my early 20s. After he drunkenly pissed in my closet one night because he thought it was the bathroom, or so he claimed. Just never answered any more of his calls or messages. I finally did pick up the phone one night about 2 weeks later, and he was drunk again and crying about how much of a bitch I was for not communicating. As if I had to spell out for him that it was unacceptable for him to piss all over my things and then be too hungover the next day to help me clean it up. As if I owed him jacket after that. I didn't feel bad about it at all, if that wasn't clear. Anyway, I told him to get some help for his drinking and lose my number. I hate getting ghosted by people who say I'll talk to you later. I'll be back. We'll see each other soon. Ducker. Just say it's over. Just ghost out of nowhere BC, at least then I'll forget about you. because now I'm expecting you to text me out of the blue, months, and even years later. Duck my memories and their random appearances. There's a few people I don't enjoy talking to that much. It's nice to write a few text messages once or twice a day, but I don't enjoy chatting with them for hours. And a few people regularly call me out for it. I've seen you're online. Why won't you answer? It's getting on my nerves. Don't force me to be your best friend. I don't want to, and I will answer in a few hours. A lot of these comments are about being ghosted or avoiding an abusive toxic person. I thought I'd answer the question. When I was a teenager I did ghost. I was deeply insecure and terrified of hurting people. The irony is I probably hurt more by ghosting. I'd spent hours and days trying to think of how to reject them until I've convinced myself it was too late. Or they were calling me out, usually pretty aggressively, which I got even terrified of. If they were nice about it I'd understand, okay, I'm being even more horrible, and finally write that text I'd been dreading. As older, I've also ghosted in a way, but more like I install Tinder, use it a couple of days, and then life gets stressful and I honestly forget to use it. Then I go back on it after a few months. Some of the time I see some old messages about people being pretty upset, understandably, and I feel bad. I have ghosted a couple girls. I did it because I didn't feel I wanted to pursue the relationship. I should have told them how I felt straight up. One girl I ghosted I ran into a couple months later at a bar. She told me how hurt she was and I felt like a complete asshole. Changed my perspective completely and haven't done it since and will not ever do it again. Just tell them your honest feelings and you're much better off. I was ghosted hard. 8-month relationship. Just never came back to my house for his stuff. Not a ton. Or called me back after promising me he would. Broke my heart. Still had to see his mom at work for months afterwards too. Few months later someone who saw his social media told he had announced a pregnancy. The timeline added up to when he ghosted me. I guess he thought he was doing the right thing by that girl. But I was really shattered from that. I ghost my friends all the time. I don't know why. I like talking to them. I just don't have the energy for myself most of the time, let alone someone else. I've been friends with them for years, so they're familiar with depression, but I still feel bad when I get a text and instead decide to sleep all day. I'm going to be honest and let the downvotes roll in. I guess I have some emotional issues due in part to child abuse and other victimizations throughout my life, and I ghost people a lot. I'm currently alone. Except for my husband and kids. Because I do it so much. I do it for the following reasons. 1. People in general make me uneasy, so I avoid them. 2. For whatever reason, I have trouble maintaining emotional engagement with people. That is, I just stop caring enough to respond. I don't know why this happens. 3. There are people who need to be out of my life because they are toxic, and I don't feel strong enough to force them out. I don't want to hurt people, but I know I'll ghost them because of reasons 1 and 2. I have been called out quite a bit about it. If the person is referring to situation 1 or 2, I feel terrible, which reinforces the decision to avoid people in order to avoid hurting them further. If they're referring to situation 3, I don't feel bad at all and feel slightly angry. Very uncomfortable. I feel like not replying to someone speaks for itself. And people who push me to text back fast or accuse me of thinking I'm better for not answering messages quickly simply make me not want to talk to them at all anymore. I had to ghost a few people when I quit drinking. My health matters. And I jaff about you whining, well you're no fun anymore. Bye bye. If I decided to ghost someone, that doesn't change just because they mention it. I dated a guy for a year. Thought things were going well. And then one day he just stopped talking to me. He blocked me through every possible form of communication. 5 months later I got a text in the middle of the night saying how sorry he was. He couldn't believe he let me go. And was there ever a possibility we could get back together? Capital I. Being the petty, terrible grudge-holding person that I am. Agreed. On my terms. I told him I wanted to take things slowly. So I didn't see him in person again. But for about 3 weeks, I lead him on through texts and phone calls, and then I did the exact same thing that he did to me. I blocked him through every possible means in which he might contact me, and never spoke to him again. Part of me wants to feel bad about what I did, But honestly, I have no regrets at all. Maybe that makes me a bad person, but after over a year of giving my all to someone to just have my heart completely ripped out with no explanation, I figured 3 weeks of hope and getting a taste of his own medicine was little penance for him to pay. Casper ghosted me, but in a friendly way.